Welcome to the first edition of the Ransom House Weekly Wrap, where every Monday I will be bringing you news and summaries of what you may have missed over the last week in Huntington Beach. I am your host, James Ransom, and thank you for joining me today. Interest rates are slowly declining after the Fed announced earlier this month that it was likely going to be the last rate hike with a rise of only 0.25%, which most lenders had already built into their rates. Rates are currently still hovering around the 6.5% mark, down from the November peak of over 7%. And as you'd assume, and you'd be correct, buyers are slowly becoming more accustomed to the high rates, and homes are still selling because it is becoming common knowledge that rates are temporary, which leads to a purchase in which the buyer plans on refinancing his or her loan when the rates become more palpable. The market is still moving at a much slower pace than at the peak back in April and May of last year, and prices are still holding strong, but not because affordability has increased, but because of a limited supply of homes available for purchase. The concept is fairly simple, and it's one of the most direct data points that reflects what's happening in a local market. Supply and demand is economics 101, and real estate is no different. If you want to move to downtown Huntington Beach and there's one home for sale, you're likely going to have to meet the seller's request as far as terms and pricing go. If you want to purchase that house, of course. If you have 20 homes to choose from, and only one of them is going to walk away with a successful transaction and closing, then the buyer becomes the more valuable party, and they can negotiate with 20 separate homes to see who is willing to negotiate the most. While inventory is still low, it is continuing to grow as we are seeing roughly 40 homes hit the market every week in Huntington Beach, which has doubled since early to mid-March of this year. As we continue to see an increase in inventory, we should expect to see prices start to soften, giving a positive outlook for buyers over the next several months. The AVP Pro Series volleyball tournament concluded yesterday on the north side of the Huntington Beach Pier with an estimated audience of about 15,000 viewers, most of whom were middle-aged men that, when asked, stated they were there purely for the love of the sport and absolutely nothing else. Cruisers, a local downtown sports bar and pizza restaurant, will be hosting a one-day-only boys' night on May 26th, in which the DJ will be exclusively playing NSYNC and Backstreet Boys all night long. And while this may not seem like important news, I, however, am here for it. Geologists have recently confirmed that New York City may in fact be sinking due to the 1.68 trillion pounds amassed by the 1 million structures built within the city center. We now bring you a live view of climate activists who have been taking sea level samples near Lower Manhattan. Huntington Beach unofficially hosted its first annual Gay Pride event, where roughly 100 members of the gay community met at the Huntington Beach Pier on Sunday, May 21st, after the city made a decision in February to limit the use of pride flags on official government buildings. This move came unexpectedly, as the former ruling, which passed unanimously, agreed to fly the pride flag for up to 6 weeks during each spring season. Downtown Huntington Beach residents seem confused at the move since the city has refused to address the flags flown outside the rehab houses located on the numbered streets and state streets. That's all for this week's Ransom House Weekly Roundup. Thank you for tuning in, and stay authentic, Huntington Beach.